Good evening, spiritual warriors. Welcome to Spiritual Warriorship class, where we're reading and studying and discussing books by His Holiness Bhakti Tirtha Swami. We are presently in Spiritual Warrior 5, Making the Mind Your Best Friend. And we're presently in the chapter, The Perfect Escape. And that's chapter 6. I don't know if any of you, or all of you, or some of you have the book. I keep trying to impress on you, if possible, to get the Spiritual Warrior books in your library. For your own purposes of study, and you can study along with me and maybe even help me sometimes along the way, something I may leave out or something you want clarification on. So we shall begin. Is anybody in the chat room right now?
Bhuvan Mohan and Shruti.
Okay, welcome, Bhuvan Mohan and Shruti. Thank you for being there. And I'm not going to ask you where I left off because I did mark it this time, but I'd like to just quickly look at a quote. We're dealing with the perfect escape, and the author reminds us that the dream of every prisoner confined to a life of imprisonment is to make the perfect escape. And what are we now? We are prisoners in this material body. And he says, we are prisoners confined to a material body, but we also want to escape, don't we? And we want to escape from the material prison because it offers nothing but limitation and restrictions. And he gives us a quote from Bhagavad Gita where Krishna says, from the highest planet in the material world down to the lowest, all are places of misery, wherein repeated birth and death takes place. But one who attains my abode, Krishna says, O son of Kunti, never takes birth again. So we're given a promise by the Supreme Lord Himself. And it seems that would kind of make us begin to wonder, how can I do that? How can that happen? Because it sure is miserable. But what He's telling us, that by understanding the depth of our imprisonment, He asked the question, how can we foolishly try to make ourselves comfortable in this realm? That's why knowledge is so important. So rather than walk around feeling sorry for yourself, miserable me, suffering me, you realize that you're in the prison, in the body, but there's a way out. And that as long as you're in that material body, in this temporary material world, we are going to have misery. Birth, death, old age, disease, we're told, right? So he tells us that there's danger at every step. We're in a place of misery and there's danger at every step. Duality, pain, madness, and illusion inevitably affect each of us in varying ways. The material body is basically a bad bargain. And the mere fact that we have a body means we have turned our backs on Krishna, eternal pastimes. And it also means conflict and confusion, no matter where we reside in these material universes. The Lord informs us that whatever type of cell and prison suit we temporarily occupy, we should expect complete misery. Hopefully, by understanding the basic truth, we can eventually rise above the entrapment. By what means? By addressing the enemies of the mind. Okay. And remember, we went over anxiety versus excitement. And what is anxiety? It's perpetrated by fear. Remember? And what about excitement? And excitement is perpetrated by, perpetuated by hope. So both cases involve anticipation, but one is negative and one is positive. So a person is either trying to avoid a certain outcome or is anticipating the future. Okay? And then he goes on to tell us that the mind goes through all kinds of gymnastics, which can even lead to response by the physical body. Now, this is a significant issue as we look at the conception of escape and plan our own escape. What do we want to do? We want to examine our daily lives because we are always mad after some goal, either material or spiritual. We are either mad after some sense gratification, or we're mad after spiritual ecstasy. Think of your own ups and downs and the kind of madness involved in eagerness and euphoria. Think of the madness that ensues when we are captured by lust, frustration, gloom, and depression. Our consciousness becomes so lazy and morbid, sometimes even to the point of desiring death. But he gives us another quote from Krishna in Bhagavad Gita, because he reminds us that a perfect escape implies tremendous plotting, scheming, and planning. He says to Arjuna, the Vedas, this is a purport, no, it's not a purport, it's Bhagavad Gita 2:45, chapter 2, text 45. The Vedas deal mainly with the subject of the three modes of material nature. Oh, Arjuna, become transcendental to these three modes. Be free from all dualities and from all anxieties for gain and safety, and be established in the self. Now he tells us Krishna does not even want us to get stuck in the mode of goodness. Even in the more luxurious prison, the inmate still has limitations and miseries. And I think we've heard of that in the public out there. Some big shot guy gets arrested, goes to jail for some minor crime. But he's in sort of a fancy prison, but he's still in prison. So I think we left off with this question. Do we want to plan for an escape that leads to more imprisonment? Or do we agitate the mind to plan for a real escape that will lead us to transcendence? That's what we were left with. I hope you've thought about it, maybe discussed it, or looked at how things are going in your life. The atheists are surely making all kinds of plans for more projected imprisonment, he tells us. But even if we are theistic, we will still remain stuck if we do not properly understand the science of transcendence. If we stay stuck for too long, it will make us matter for the opposite of what will really set us free. We will take more shelter of what puts us into anxiety in the first place. This is the nature of Maya. She attracts us with allurements that will imprison us longer and keep us under her control. We gotta keep in mind we're talking about perfect escape. Now keep in mind that Krishna explained how all the material planets and bodies from the highest to the lowest are places of misery. They do not just offer some slight discomfort, but complete misery. That's pretty clear. No, just a little, temporary. No, it's painful. It's misery. We're miserable. And we shouldn't pretend that we're not. If we're being honest and if we're on a spiritual path, and this spiritual warriorship is a wonderful spiritual path. The material bodies and universes all offer different degrees and graduations of suffering. Why, we must ask, does the living entity do exactly that which will make it more difficult to escape? Why do we so frequently take shelter of those things that add to our complexities and our incarceration? Well, beloved, that is the craziness of material life and material culture. It imposes upon us and convinces us that we should try to enjoy that which will increase our suffering. Isn't that a way to see it? That's the material life and culture. We try again and again only to repeatedly find out that the results are never quite what we expect. Furthermore, we know that for every deviation there is a consequence and a chastisement. And if you've been following us, he's really taken us through a lot of information on karma and how we get it and how it comes, but we have to pay a price for any deviation of God's laws. Now, for this reason, we say that there is no ultimate pleasure in the material world. There is kapala sukha, or temporary stimulation and gratification. But there is no pleasure, because such temporary gratification just leaves us miserable. How can it be pleasurable if after every sense enjoyment we get intense chastisement? And that's because the Lord loves us. He wants us to stop our nonsense so we can escape and come home to Him, back to Godhead. Now, if Krishna tells us that this realm is a place of misery, surely He is encouraging us to go beyond it and escape from the suffering. By remaining here and trying to make different arrangements, we will inevitably suffer from some expression of misery. How do we get away? Most people are constantly trying to escape. Unfortunately, aspiring spiritualists often try to escape by taking shelter of Maya in her other manifestations. Now, if a person is bored and unfulfilled, he or she will have a tendency to escape into some type of Maya, which could be smoking, drinking, illicit sex, or abominable food. Maya is trying every way to offer the body a chance to squeeze some taste and pleasure out of the misery. But Krishna has made it perfectly clear that misery is a part of the package. It is an inevitable part of the experience for each soul as it passes through 8,400,000 different species of life. When the faith and Sukriti or credits are not sufficient, we will end up taking shelter of various kinds of Maya. What I was just thinking, those of us who are hearing this, we have probably read Bhagavad Gita, we're probably involved in some Vaishnava activity. We may have read Srimad Bhagavatam. I know Bhuvan Mahan has all of his classes and programs on Facebook there. So those who have been hearing, which is an important part of spiritual life, are being given an opportunity this lifetime to escape. And the next chapter I think I'm going to go to from here is the one on mindfulness. Because I want to say, therefore, if we are mindful of our desire, and that this is a temporary miserable place, but we are studying, we're hearing from Krishna and the other acharyas, we know there is an escape. And that's what Bhakti Tirtha Swami does with his book. He reminds us, he alerts us, if you will. They have the weather alert. Be surprised here in Florida how many weather alerts. Freeze warning, freeze watch. One day it said hard freeze watch. That's when it was down in the 20s something, feel like 18 or 19. And oh my God. And I just looked a little while ago. It's supposed to go down to 27 tomorrow night. But there's an alert, and this is to alert you that you have plants you want to cover or you have pets out. So the same with us if we're studying this philosophy in any way to be alert. Yes, we're going to be miserable, distressed, and happiness, but we can be more mindful and aware of what may be bringing it on, or that what we have to look out for in order to pass out of it. Spiritualists often have different bad habits that arise when they feel more of the misery always present in this world. They have their own idiosyncratic, syncretic ways of escaping. However, this type of temporary escape will only bring more imprisonment. If a prisoner breaks additional rules within the prison, it will only increase his or her term. So instead of increasing their chances for freedom, it adds to their time of confinement. Of course, one may ask, what can the person do? If the prisoner is in a miserable condition, suffering from intense pain due to the enemies of the mind, naturally he or she will find some way to make a change. It says here, naturally, he or she will find a way to make a change. Seems practical, right? However, the author says, we must carefully select the type of relief that will benefit us in a long-term positive way. We have choice, don't we? Due to the fast-paced lifestyle that most people commonly use or lead, they naturally turn to the quick fix. I remember my daughter used to call me up one time. She's got a sore throat or cold coming on. And I'd say, oh, well, get that herb tea you have there and get some echinacea. She says, no, I don't want that stuff. I need a quick fix. I'm going to go get what Aleve or whatever they have. And that was her thing, a quick fix. And that's what most of us want, but it's not always what we need at the time. Obviously, the immediate response to pain is the search for a quick fix.
Yes.
For instance, if we have a headache, naturally we want a pain pill. However, if a person has a tumor in his head, the pain pill will only address the headache, the symptom, without solving the issue permanently. Similarly, if we want a permanent solution to the misery, drinking a bottle of alcohol or taking some drugs will not ultimately help us. Rather, it will only mitigate some of the symptoms. We might even think that a drug will increase our realization and insight, but such a cheap endeavor for instant spirituality will not help us develop an understanding of deep spiritual truths. Now, are you wondering how to get out of this mentality of craving instant relief or instant spirituality? The deeper solutions to pain are rarely instant. In one sense, we need to shift our perspective on pain because the solution may not always be what we want it to be. It takes a certain amount of maturity for one to bypass the quick and artificial fix. It is often important for us to persevere with patience while pursuing a more thorough cure. Now, if we reflect on rituals of any bona fide religion, we will see they all fit into the plan for the ultimate perfect escape, bona fide. The rituals of a Vaishnava, such as chanting and glorifying the Lord, help to actualize the escape. Now see, he's put out in front of us all the I guess you could say negative aspects of trying to escape. And now he's presenting to us some positive ways for permanent escape. And what is he saying? The rituals of a Vaishnava, such as chanting and glorifying the Lord, help to actualize the escape. We're crying out to the Lord through His holy name. Krishna, dear Supreme Lord, please get me out of here. Guide and protect me. If you thought that's what you're crying out, when you're chanting, you're really crying out, engage me in your service. And you're saying to Him, get me out of here. Guide and protect me. It says we chant in the Srinivas prayers for protection. And we have the darshan of the Lord, praying to Him to allow us to really see Him, associate with Him, serve Him, and feed Him. So every day, if we have deities or we can get to the temple, we're being given an opportunity to ultimately get to the perfect escape. These are method steps of escape. These rituals can help us gradually move out of our miserable condition. And so when we're not even thinking of getting out of the body, dying or something like that, it's the consciousness that we're purifying and will remove us from that misery. Because the Lord is in everybody's heart. He hears our pleas, our cries, and protects us. The ninefold processes of devotional service is really a process of healthy escape. Hearing, chanting, remembering to start. It's like we need discipline in our lives. The more intensely and profoundly we involve ourselves by accepting the simple realities, the more we're preparing ourselves for the perfect escape. And that discipline, as I mentioned, no matter what you're doing, you're in school, you're going to work, you had a big-time job, a little-time job, whatever. These are steps one can take for moving towards escaping the misery that we've more or less set up for ourselves, but it's been arranged for us. Yes, hands up.
I have a question in terms of having the maturity and patience needed to escape and apply oneself to the process. Because I guess in the Western society, or what's prominent right now in the world perspective, is work now, like enjoy now, work later.
Somebody later.
Yeah, if you have to work, is to, get it over with, to enjoy later. Like, go to work, go to your classes, school, whatever. But the point of all that work is to enjoy, like make enough money so that you can get the car, the clothes, the girlfriend, the boyfriend, the status, the house, the this, whatever it is.
Okay.
And
that's on the material level.
The material level, yeah. But we kind of can approach spiritual life like that. Like, I'm going to do this for this. And, the payoff we want is, to feel happy, to feel good, to feel peaceful, all these things. And we feel like if we're not getting that instant experience, then something's wrong, or it's not a bona fide path or something. So how to, I guess, approach spiritual life in a serious, mature way without this kind of instant gratification mindset, where
that's it. Okay. This bona fide path that we're talking of, Vaishnava, Bhakti Yoga, reading Bhagavad Gita, chanting the Lord's name, because most religions, some word is there about chanting. But our teaching says whatever we do is to please Krishna, because Krishna is the enjoyer. So he enjoys, and we do what we do for his enjoyment. But he is the perfect lover, caretaker. So if we are go to work every day, but know what you're doing, you're working to please him. You have to take care of your health, your family, you have to eat. But the money you make, the food you buy, you offer it to him. You give something in charity to the temple or the school or something. If you are working to please Krishna, you will still have enjoyment, but it won't be self-gratification, which brings on the misery, because there's no consequence in self-gratification except something that will make us more miserable. Because whatever, whoop-de-doo, I'm having a good time, it's so temporary. It's so temporary. And even with your Krishna consciousness, there may be moments when it seems down, but you have these points is he's bringing out to us. You cry out in your chanting. You practice the 9 processes of devotional service, and involve yourself, he says, in accepting simple realities. Then we are preparing. So it's the sense gratification. If it's for self only gratification, it's short term, and it just leads to more misery. If it's for pleasing Krishna, serving others, helping others, serving Guru, and endeavoring and crying out to the Lord, that misery, he said, this is the way to escape the misery. So he's just outlined some things to do. And it's to, again, be mindful and alert of whatever you're doing. Is it for me to feel good? Ooh. And then the next day or the next week, I'm still miserable. This crazy world, this crazy this. But again, the whole idea is that the Lord is the arranger and control of everything, and we are His servants. That's the basic knowledge that starts with Bhagavad Gita when Krishna has to talk to Arjuna and teach. He's his servant. Arjuna is his servant, and if he goes to war, that means killing family and friends and everybody. If he does it for Krishna, he's not bringing on any sin, and he can go on with his life. I mean, we get that right away. Whatever you're doing, you do it to please the Lord, rather than your own senses. Does that help? Yeah? It's okay? Can I go on? You sure? Okay. It's all about serving the Lord. So where did we leave off? The mature spirit. And that brings on the maturity. Because you're not like a little kid. I want this for me. I want it. You don't give it to me. No. If you're mature, I have to do this, but it's to please the Lord.
How to adopt that mindset when everything around you is of a different mindset, and it's a completely foreign perspective.
You change your mindset. To think
about somebody else first, or...
Well, it depends on, how miserable you are. I used to say to my daughter when she started, when you get sick and tired of being sick and tired, and then you turn to the Lord high and cry out. And those of us who know who the Lord is, Supreme Personality of Godhead, the owner of everything, the protector of everybody, He tells us He's in our heart, then we know when we're tired of being miserable. And it's changing that mindset and realizing I haven't been chanting, I haven't been thinking about Krishna, I haven't been praying to Him, I haven't, we know. And it's depending on how you feel, we do have choice. We're told that many times. So who do we want to please? Because as he said, Maya will bring on all kinds of things. And you may say, I'm being very Krishna conscious, and look at I can't resist this. And the Lord in the heart may be telling you, you don't really want to go there. Yeah, but this is so... I'll be careful. I'll get back to chanting next week, or I'll do this next time, or I'll pick up a book and read. But this is really feels good, and it's not too bad. It won't get me to hell, I don't think. I'll just enjoy for a little. It's all temporary.
There's another question.
Another question?
Mm-hmm. By Edgar. As we advance spiritually, does Maya lose influence, or does it increase in power to continuously test the devotee? In other words, does it get easier?
No, it never gets easier, because her job is to make sure that she has put everything before you, and for you to decide, do you want what she's giving you, or do you want to, as he said, know the science of transcendence and go to what Krishna is offering us? There's some more here about Maya. Let's listen. He says about the maturity, a devotee should devote him or herself to the perfect escape. Maya will offer all types of enticements, make us fearful, make us lusty, make us angry, or make us envious. Maya has so many weapons with which to expertly perform her attack. If one does not entice us, she will offer another, or even many at the same time. She wants us to stay in prison by occupying us with so many temporary allurements, we mistakenly think that we are getting closer to freedom while Maya binds us more. We can go on like this for many, many lifetimes, trying to escape through the wrong methods. But we cannot escape from the misery through artificial cosmetic means. So as I said before, maybe something she offers us, and we are on a spiritual path or endeavoring for spiritual growth, and we kind of realize it's kind of borderline, we think. And I won't really get too deeply involved in this, but for right now, I'm sure it's okay. It's not too bad. And that's, she says, I gotcha. And then she brings on more till you get so immersed. And then at some point you realize you are more miserable than ever before, and that you missed an opportunity to choose Krishna, to chant, to read, to go to the temple, to associate with devotees, to hear. The atheists, he tells us, also want to escape. But because they do not understand transcendence, they are just implicating themselves even more in the cycle of repeated birth and death. Was that answer okay, Edgar? Because I just kept on going. I hope it was helpful. If not, we can talk some more. Therefore, some may end up inhabiting lower bodies in their next lifetime. Even spiritualists, endeavoring to make an escape through the proper ritual and spiritual practices, can become misguided by laziness, sinful reactions, doubts, and many more. Maybe his or her doubts have finally subsided, but the devotee just does not have a strong understanding of the process. That's why association with devotees or others of like mind is so important. Because sometimes we do get doubt and we don't have anyone to notice we're doubtful or to mention it and to encourage us to keep hope and keep moving and choose a means or a method to clear up that doubt. In other cases, the devotee may understand the philosophy perfectly, but his or her quality of devotion is not sufficient to execute an escape. Again, Bhakti Teacher said in one of his Bhakti Tirtha Swami I read recently, we need the sastras, the scriptures, but just reading is not enough. We have to absorb it, accept it, absorb it, and practice it in our lives, and then experience it. And then we have the realizations. This is real. The enemies of the mind attack spiritualists in so many ways as they try to make it through the door. He tells us that in Judaism, a major tenet involves honoring the Sabbath, a time to help remind the individual about the goal. No one works on the Sabbath, which creates a more intense reminder that we are all meant for God. One minimizes the focus on the body and on the external permutations. In Vaishnava tradition, we have Ekadashi and other important holy days in which we try to increase our chanting of the Lord's name, refrain from eating, or accept extra austerities. The point is to decrease our attachments and absorb in the physical realm so that we can intensify our focus on the spiritual goal. Spiritual life is not just twiddling your thumbs. It's working with determination and a strong desire for, as he's saying here, escaping the miseries. He says the holy dham, or places of pilgrimage, help remind us that we want to eternally remain in such places. The journey to a place of pilgrimage is also a time for rejuvenation. We temporarily achieve this victory or escape so that we can come closer to our ultimate victory of residing eternally in the spiritual kingdom. And the Acharyas, they inform us that a major tenet of bhakti involves this desire to reside in the holy dhams, because even in the physical world, the dhams are doors that help us connect more with the spiritual realm. They remind us of the activities that constantly unfold in the spiritual kingdom and give us some of the distinct culture of the eternal spiritual world. He tells us that the rituals we perform as Vaishnavas in all religion traditions aim at taking us outside of the normative miseries and confinement. It's a purpose for everything. We understand that we are not in this environment and in this material world. We understand that we are in this environment and this material world, but it does not have to be eternal. We have the opportunity for freedom and escape. When we hear about the perfect escape, it also lets us know that most people don't escape. Otherwise, it wouldn't be considered perfect. Most people are imprisoned and will remain in confinement indefinitely. Just as when we hear about the perfect crime, we realize that most criminals get caught. It is not so common for someone to execute a perfect crime. As we endeavor to escape, it is rare to find a person so focused and precise in their devotion, but it is possible. So there's hope no matter where you are in your spiritual path and activities or whatever. There's hope that we can become focused and precise in our devotion. It is especially possible if we follow the guidance of those who have gone before us and have already freed themselves. They can help arrange for our own freedom. And I'm going to stop there tonight. Our next section It's called Our Consciousness Creates Our Escape. But I think we've covered quite a bit. Today's the 21st. To think on for the week. To be observant. How are we preparing for our escape from the misery? How miserable are we? And what steps are we taking to escape that misery while we're still here? Are there any questions, comments?
Yeah. Edgar and David said that you answered the question.
Edgar and who?
David.
David.
Yeah.
Oh.
Answered the first question.
Did I answer it?
Yeah,
Okay.
you did.
Was it okay?
Thank you, yeah. And then Edgar made the comment that even Lord Chaitanya was challenged what to speak of ordinary devotees.
Mm-hmm.
And then he wrote, I was reading that we shouldn't look at Maya as a daunting challenge, but we should instead be delighted and enthusiastic to fight it.
To what?
To fight it. Enthusiastic about serving. Not, oh, I have to chant this many rounds, what a task, but should look forward to chanting despite Maya's distractions. And then Bhuvan Mohan says, yes, enthusiasm is critical, not looking upon it as drudgery.
Absolutely right. Very good. Yeah, both statements are correct. And that's Maya's duty. To get you to the point that you saying to Krishna, I don't want this nonsense from her. What I want is to be your servant, Lord. And because what she's offering is eventually will maybe temporarily satisfied or something, but it's only temporary. But if we are persistent and no, not you, Maya, but you, Krishna, I'm yours, and I want to be yours. And then we're maturing in our spiritual life. And Krishna reciprocates, and we will see there's a difference. Yeah, very good statement. Anybody else? Anybody else there?
They're just saying, fantastic class, great class. As always, Mother Indrani, wonderful class.
Oh, thank you all very much. Your being there, your energy, your potency is helpful to me, and I'm thankful to Bhakti Tirtha Swami for bringing this guidance to us. And it's about not just hearing, but practicing it, accepting it, living it in your everyday life. And as I've asked before, and I'll ask when you come back, just see if from hearing any of this, you've taken something to put into practice in your life, and you've noticed change. Because it's about change of consciousness, change of perspective. And next week we'll look forward to hearing how our consciousness creates our escape. So I thank you all for being there. It's so wonderful knowing you there. And David, you haven't been around for a while. I'm sure you used to visit us. I welcome you and hope you'll be back soon. And don't forget, if there are any points that come up during the week, you can write to me at email motherindrani108@gmail.com. And I'll try my best to answer. I'm a little slow with this email, but I do try to get back to you. All right? Thank you. Have a wonderful, blessed week. And just remember, you're in the process of escaping from some of these miseries. And you can help others too. As you practice and experience, then you can help others. All right? Hare Krishna. Good night. Thank you for coming.